Alliance of Valiant Arms was a free-to-play FPS developed by Red Duck Studios. It was first released in Korea in 2007. However, I am a pompous, self-centered American, so I'm mostly going to go over its journey in the NA region, which started in 2009. It was first published on IJJI, which in my opinion was the best gaming portal known to man. A.V.A. is also the first game I wanted to talk about in the Games You Might Remember series, because of the ridiculous amount of time I spent playing it almost a decade ago. So try to understand that some of the jokes and talking points are going to be just for me. The simple fact is that I was looking for a free-to-play alternative to Call of Duty, and this game was debatedly the best free-to-play tactical shooter on the market at the time, getting #1 on multiple top 10 lists. But most importantly, Omar from MMO Huts said it was good, and that's all I really needed to hear. A.V.A. was one of the prettiest shooters when it came out, while also being extremely optimized. I believe that if you installed this game on a soggy piece of bread, you could still get it to run 60 FPS at max settings, which was a huge bonus for me because if you're a fan of the channel, you know that my family computer at the time had about as much processing power as a hungover teenager during first period on a Monday. In Alliance of Valiant Arms, you would find all the normal PvP game modes usually expected from a free-to-play FPS. The first 3 added were Team Deathmatch, which they called Annihilation, Escort, where you would guide a tank from one end of the map to the other, which I only played because the map had a fucking rocket launcher, and the game mode I played the most was Demolition, or Search and Destroy if you're a COD fanboy. Over time, more modes would be added like Free-for-All, Domination, and some weird version of Capture the Flag, which was given the terrible name of Cross Steel. The 2 teams you had to choose from were the EU and the NSF, and that's about as deep into the lore as I'm willing to go. And another fun mode was Infestation, where one person would get to be this big zombie mutant creature with night vision and melee attacks. Aside from Alliance of Valiant Arms PvP content, it also had a decent amount of PvE modes. A favorite of mine was Prison Break Survival, where you would walk around fully armed with your high-tech weaponry and mow down hundreds of prisoners, some of which only had a plastic meal tray to defend themselves. Looking back on it now, that concept seems kinda cruel and heartless, but luckily I was born in a country that has a mass shooting every 3 months, so I was already desensitized. There were also a slew of other co-op missions and AI game modes which used unique levels. All of these modes had 2 difficulties to choose from, easy and challenge. Depending on what difficulty you chose, playing these missions will give you a different amount of rewards and in-game currency, but we'll talk about the economy of this game later. First, I want to go over the maps, because although some game modes only had a few to choose from, there was a substantial amount of variety when it came to playing Annihilation, Demolition, and Escort. In my opinion, most of the maps were very well designed, and eventually I got to know them as well as my own genitalia. I would even look up the best places to throw grenades at the start of the match. That's the level of degeneracy that I'm talking about when I said I played this game a lot. So subscribe to my channel for all the elite strats pertaining to games that you can't even play anymore. Either way, every mode had exclusive maps. For example, Cold Case was only available when playing Annihilation, which was a great level for both sniping and running around spraying at everything that moves. So as a result, this was one of the most popular maps in Annihilation custom game lobbies. And I would like to take this moment to remind everybody that custom game lobbies will forever and always be superior to matchmaking. And this is an undebatable fact set in stone by whatever god you may or may not believe in. The maps I most enjoyed were in the Demolition set list. All of them were absolute classics like Hammer Blow, which had a bridge on one side which was basically exploding all match because everyone would throw their grenades across it as soon as possible. When it comes to creating your character, there were 3 classes that you could start out with, each with their own unique buffs that could be unlocked as you progress. First was the Point Man, which had the highest movement speed but were limited to submachine guns and shotguns for the most part. Then there was the Rifleman, which had the highest defense, and weaponry included machine guns and, you guessed it, rifles. Lastly, there was the Sniper, who were slow and practically defenseless but used a sniper, and that instantly makes them the best class. There would end up being a massive arsenal to choose from. On top of that, each gun had various attachments that you could use to customize your weapon with, and once you start looking at the cash shop, you'll find what seems to be an endless amount of special editions and skins for the already large variety of killing machines that were available. Unfortunately, the free-to-play FPS genre is plagued with a bunch of games games that have the most shameless and disgusting pay models that I have ever laid eyes on, and while I don't think Alliance of Valiant Arms was necessarily pay to win, I will say that this game did everything it could to make you want to spend money, and they threw every free-to-play shooter trick in the book at you. Number 1, the guns were locked not only by class but also by level, so the weapon selection when starting out was very limited, which became very disheartening seeing as how leveling crawls to an excruciatingly slow pace. Number 2, each weapon was fairly expensive to own permanently using the in-game currency, but you were offered a lower rental price. Buying a rental gun often made me feel obligated to play longer sessions to both try to earn some of my money back and get the full value of the rental. Number 3, once you owned a permanent weapon, there would be a repair cost because over time, everything in your inventory would degrade, putting you at a major disadvantage if you let it get out of hand. Most of these problems were counteracted by the fact that A.V.A. was nice enough to give you a few powerful weapons fairly early, but I distinctly remember having an account that I would play on every single day, not just for 1 hour, but several, and I would even look up recoil test videos every time a new gun would come out. Did I mention that I was really into this game? But even with all the time I spent and all the matches I played, I was still only able to get 2 permanent weapons, which was a sniper and a shotgun. By the way, this game had the largest variety of shotguns that I've ever seen in a free-to-play game at the time. So one day I logged in and saw a new gun that I really wanted. It was the MP7A1, and words cannot overstate how overpowered this weapon was when it came out. The only problem was that I was already burning through my in-game currency because of the high repair cost, so I had to make an entirely new character just to get this new weapon, which says a lot because that means it was not only faster to get the money to buy the MP7A1, but it was also faster to get to the required level to unlock it. But at the end of the day, the game was still fun, while also being extremely competitive. Alliance of Valiant Arms would have world tournaments all the way back in 2010 and continuing to do so until 2016. However, I stopped playing long before that because in 2012, A.V.A. was no longer hosted by IJJI due to the acquisition by Area Games, and being that I was a stubborn child heartbroken by the loss of one of the best gaming portals to ever grace the world with its existence, I went on strike, absolutely refusing to support the people that killed it, which was the wrong decision because very shortly after Area Games acquired A.V.A., it ended up being one of the first free-to-play games on Steam, and would stay there quietly holding a small dedicated community, eventually being picked up by Enquiries in the last year of its life. Unfortunately, Alliance of Valiant Arms was shut down on June 29th, 2018, and I found this out through the announcement on April 25th of the same year. I was highly interested in playing it one more time just to relive the good old days and get some of those great experiences that I had years prior, but the announcement stated, and I quote, "Effective immediately, new A.V.A. accounts and characters cannot be created," which was a damn shame because I've never seen anything like that in a shutdown message before. It reminded me of those "if you don't want me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best" memes. It is worth stating that people that did already have an active account were given a wide range of cheap and free weapons, but I wasn't able to find any type of refund program for the people that recently bought in-game items in the months before the shutdown. This story does have a happy ending though, because Red Duck Studios has decided to make A.V.A. Dog Tag, which looks like a direct successor that they will publish themselves. From what I can gather, it will essentially be starting the game over from scratch and slowly building A.V.A. back to what it was. You can sign up for the closed beta on their website, which is something I've already done because I'm upset that I lost the opportunity to play Alliance of Valiant Arms one last time. If you would like to share your experience with this game, feel free to leave a comment. If you enjoy the sound of my beautiful voice, then please subscribe, but most importantly, have a wonderful day. Peace out.